She'll wake up at 8. As soon as I walk into the room, she's hoping for mommy. She sees daddy, and she'd be like, "I don't want daddy. I don't love you anymore. No." And she just
shit.
Emotional damage.
You know what I mean, dog. You know what I mean?
So Trey, what's this episode about? You talk to me, my guy.
This episode is just us just hanging out and just relaxing for a little bit because I feel like, you know, we've been on a run here for podcast for your first set episodes, Nathan. I feel like Nate, we've just been going ham, structure, just going off. But, you know, this episode right now this is for the boys. This is for us. It's just for us just to let our hair down, relax for a little bit because you know what, it's been hard work. I know it's like you're seeing two stooges talking to a microphone, but it's been a lot of structure, a lot of texts, a lot of miscommunication, a lot of things. But we somehow managed to quitting, but we've managed to give you a good product at the end of the day, which we believe in. Which is most important, but I feel like this is for the boys. Don't you agree?
I agree. I'm just getting really exhausted from my 14-hour editing days, and I need a break.
Hey, don't worry, your vacation is pending and approved, my friend. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
HR has submitted it and it's agreed with it. Okay. But
speaking of approved and pending and HR. Isn't your birthday coming up?
Yes, my birthday's coming up. Thanks for asking. It's coming up March 3rd, which is on a Friday. And fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen, I will be in the Valley. Dude, I don't feel 32, and I sure as hell don't act like it. Thanks, bud. Thanks, dude. Obviously, old man, wrinkles everywhere. You know what I mean? Sitting on a piece of gum, if you get that reference. Listen.
I don't, but it's okay. All right, so you're turning 32, you're going to the Valley. Do you have anything planned out specifically, or it's just like I'm going to show up and whatever happens?
Nah, just honestly, just hang out with my family because as us, you know, being away from the raza, the 956, I know we like to meme like, oh, puro 956, but honestly, man, like us too, like Mexican, Hispanics, even though Ethan looks like Edward Cullen.
They're the same picture.
Family, man, is a big thing where we come from. Family has always been traditionally just a big thing, dude. Like no matter what happens in life, your family is always going to be there. And so I do plan on, even if I do get approved for vacation, I'm going to spend that back half of my vacation in the Valley with my dad, you know, and just hanging out with the mom and the kids and their nieces and nephews, and man, just hang out with them, man, because being away from them for years at a time, even though it doesn't feel like that because of, you know, how the workflow goes. Nathan, sometimes you look up like shit, like fucking half the year's gone the way every year goes by. So, I mean, I'm just going to enjoy that time there with them and just, eat a lot of fajitas. My dad makes a mean fajitas and makes a mean barbecue and just, you know, just smell that charcoal and that mesquite in the air. Just, takes you back to childhood.
No, that's good. No, that is tough. Every time I go to the Valley, it's usually for like maybe 3 to 5 days, and I'm trying to obviously spend time with my immediate family, but also make time for my extended family and friends, and there's never enough time. Now, I want to know what you're looking for in a relationship.
Watch out.
What am I looking for? That shit.
Yeah.
My God. I'm turning red. No, I'm looking for just, honestly, someone who's agreeable and reasonable, man. Because these past dates that I've been last year, man, like, besides the last one I went on, were kind of rough. I mean, not to, like, I don't like shitting on like bad dates, but man, a lot of, it's fun to say, but a lot of daddy issues,
Uggos?
a lot of not uggies, but just daddy issues and problems. Anytime someone doesn't get along with their family members, like their dad or whatever, it's kind of like a red flag for me. But yeah, I mean that's kind of why it's kind of like better not to get involved. It's like, no, you know what I mean?
All right, let's talk about dating. So, what apps are you using?
When I was on the dating apps, I used Hinged and Bumble. That's it. I mean, Tinder is Tinder. I mean, that's what it is. For you, Nathan, you're like, what is Tinder? Tinder is basically hookup. You know what I mean? Fast food, DiGiorno's, Pizza Hut, Domino's.
People trying to get a quick meal.
Exactly. There you go. Quick meal. That's it. No commitments. There has been some stories of people actually getting long-term meals from Tinder, but let's be honest, Tinder is Tinder. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
So I stuck to Hinge and Bumble just because I felt like I had more success and one, like, not as far as like one date, but 2 dates and follow-up dates using said apps. So that's what I've kind of stuck to. I'm not like the League and stuff like that, because that's like super rich.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, if you were to guesstimate, how many dates have you been on through the means of a social dating app?
Social dating app, I've been on 20.
20 dates. How many of those dates resulted in multiple dates?
I want to say at least 5. 5 of them.
5. All right. How many of those 5 resulted in a third date?
I want to say 2. 2.
Fourth date?
None. No fourth date.
Okay. So what's going on during that third date in which things fall off?
Conversation tends to get a lot more real. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm dropping the mask. This is who I really am. I found when it comes to dating, man, I'm who I am. Like who you see on the podcast is who I really am. It's just like I tend to mumble a lot. I tend to stumble a lot. Tend to not make sense. But I just normally just am myself. But then it comes down to, me being older, 30s, 31, 32. Conversation comes about endeavors, life, kids, that kind of nature. And honestly, a lot of women my age in particular, they don't want kids, and I want kids, and I'm never gonna force a woman to be like, oh, you need to fucking have kids because I want to have kids. Like, no, I'm not that type of dude. So it's like, hey, I appreciate you. We vibe well, but this is something that I want. If you don't want, I'm not gonna force you to. That. So it's like, hey, nice meeting you. Hey, wish you the best of luck. I'm gone.
So on both occasions on that third date, kids were brought into the conversation and they both said no.
Yeah. And I think it's more of I'm finding that more of a big city thing, because I do live in Austin and a lot of people here. Honestly, like, it's not so much as like, oh, why are you so single? Blah blah. It's not that I haven't been dating. I have been putting myself there. It's like I found out it's not that I'm not getting dates. It's like, it's honestly like I never thought this would be a contentious thing, but it's the subject around kids. A lot of women in this big city don't want kids, and coming from a small town like the Rio Grande Valley, like, hey bro, I want kids, like at long term.
What are the age ranges that you're getting matched with?
My age, like 30, like 29 to 30.
And you're saying 100% of the time these women don't want kids?
Don't want kids. Like, even though, like I say for Hinge, for example, they say, do you want kids? They say sometime in the future, right? But like when you get to meet them and stuff, like honestly have conversations, because like the first day is like having fun or whatever. Second day it's like have fun or whatever, or a little bit of how you do it, a little bit of a push up adult thing, stuff and chill. But like that third date and fourth date, it's more of like, all right, let's talk about some real shit, because
let's see if we're gonna be long term compatible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's more of like, like she's like, I don't want kids, and like, I'm sorry. Hey, you vibe well, we connect well, but I respect your decision, but latest.
Yeah. Maybe try waiting until the fourth date.
No, I don't bring up kids. They do.
Oh, they do.
They do.
They'll just straight up ask you, "Do you want kids?"
Yeah.
And then you say yes, and then they're like, "I'm out."
No, then that conversation. No, then that conversation is like, how do you feel about? Like, I don't want kids and stuff like that. It's how they feel about it. It's. I find that it's more like, okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, let's be honest here. It's like, I feel like more people my age that didn't have, they're more looking for, as the cool kids say, a situationship. But I'm looking for, that long term kind of like relationship, kind of like building each other up and succeeding in life. But I know
So
most
there
people.
isn't a checkbox that's like, yes, I want kids, not like maybe. I don't understand.
I feel like most girls that go on a date with that check yes, like I want kids, they're more inclined to be like, I don't want kids. Like really, I don't want kids. They're just putting yes to open their options, I guess you can say.
Interesting. You don't think they're just like, oh, this guy mumbles too much. I'm gonna use the kids thing as an excuse.
Hey, it could be so. Like, hey man, like straight up, like I've had, you know what I mean? Like it could be, but I don't know. But you never know.
No,
I don't know.
'Cause you're a good looking dude. I'm sure you get a lot of matches.
Thanks.
I mean, you're not too socially awkward to where you can't hold a conversation.
No, like I like when
You're
it comes
fairly
to
normal.
when it comes to like having conversations like 1-on-1 in person. I know in the podcast hard to tell. I'm really just myself. Like I'm just dumb dipshit, but it's just like I'm speaking from my heart, just being myself, man. Like I'm not out there putting up a front. I dress how I dress on the podcast. Like I'm not like my boy Nate here, who's a really good adult dressing. Like I'm just like t-shirt, kind of fit, kind of fat, either nice
Hole in
pair.
this garage.
Hey, shout out to you. It's called podcasting grit. Mahalo, bro.
I mean, like our good friend Mara said last episode, it's about shooting your shot. It's about number. It's a numbers game.
Oh, absolutely. That's why, like, when she said it, like, I was just surprised, like, man, like, yeah, if she say it is real. It's like, yeah, just go out there. You get the numbers thing. You got to be yourself. That's why I kind of taken a step back. Cause like, you asked me, it's like, I took myself at the dating apps. So I'm working more on myself because, like, I understand that I have, communication issues and certain things like that of that nature. It's like, let me do this therapy thing. Let me get better at it, understand it, then put myself back out there. But obviously, to honest to God, the reason why I'm still single, it's not because all women are so like this or feminists. Like, no, it's just I haven't put myself out there. Like, I'm not out there playing the game, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can't wait until you feel like you've hit this point where you're like the perfect end product. It's never gonna happen. Like you keep working on yourself, but you also keep putting yourself out there at the same time, and it'll eventually just happen.
Right. I had the discussion with my therapist the other day. Like the last session was like, I asked her like, when do I know as a person, like as a man, like, okay, this is when do I know when I'm ready? And she basically told me like, you just get basically what you just said. You just got to put yourself out there, and then if it happens, it happens. But the same breath, it's like, it's still that battle within my own head. It's like, hey man, like a lot of girls like my age, like they don't want kids, man. Like I can't, as much as I work on myself, as much as I'm open to being myself, like it's weird that the fact that having kids is such a deal breaker, but that's the reality situation that I'm in. And I'm finding that it's when I joke about it with my mom, my parents, is like, it's like I tell them this, like it's the deal breaker. It's not having kids. It's like, well, just move back to the valley. Just move back to the valley. You know what I mean? That's not a problem. That's not an issue. It's like, I know what you're saying. Like, how does it feel like just being married, man? Like, how does you know what I mean? Like, how does that how does that spectrum go? Because like, you being you're an established man. Boom. Got a kid, got a wife, you got the house. You know what I mean? You got the quote unquote white picket fence. Like, how does that feel? How does that feel like just being in that kind of like position? You know what I mean?
I mean, regardless of the type of position that anybody's in, it comes with its own set of challenges. I have, two other people that rely on me to be there for them, physically, mentally, financially, right? My wife works, but I got to do my part in contributing financially to the growth of our family and, you know, our well-being. So I don't know, just a different set of challenges. I have to be present as a father and husband, right? Just because you're in a relationship doesn't change who you are exactly. Like I still need to function as an individual. I still need my me time. I get frustrated. I get impatient. I get upset, and for me, I just have to take a step back and try to look at things objectively and do some self-reflection and make sure I'm being the best version of myself for my family. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, I'll act out because I'm just frustrated with X, Y, and Z. And when you're single, I feel like you can act out, right? And, recover, and you're not affecting anybody because you're single. But, if I act out and I'm upset or I'm just in a bad mood, and when I say act out, I mean just like in a bad mood or speak in a way that I shouldn't be speaking, right? Like upset or irritated and all that. Like I'm affecting somebody else emotionally. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Sometimes you always want to be the best version of yourself, but you know that's not the case. Sometimes there's frustrations at work. There's frustrations with things I want and my shortcomings. So I don't know. It's tough.
Is it more?
You can hurt people. Like you can emotionally hurt people if you're not behaving the way you're behaving or treating others with respect as they should. Like if I'm being short with my wife or if I'm being, if I'm irritated, like she has her daily, her daily responsibilities as do I. She's as the mother to our child, naturally more falls on her because our daughter's more attached to mommy than she is daddy, right? There's more on her plate most times than me as far as tending to our daughter and making sure she's taken care of. Like when I'm driving to work Tuesday to Thursday and I come home, I'm exhausted and sometimes I just want to lay down and relax. But if my wife has been with our daughter since picking up from school and juggling work and taking care of our daughter, she's also exhausted. And when I get home, she's ready for a break. But, for me, I just worked all day and drove an hour and a half back home. I'm exhausted. And sometimes I forget all the work she's put into that day, both between her actual job and then our daughter.
Right.
And, we'll get into tiffs and tats and, but I had to come to realization, like she sees me as coming home to help out with her daughter, not just to lay on the couch and be a bum. But long story short, like what I'm trying to say is like there's challenges with any situation that you're in, single, married, whatever the case is. It just gets tougher when more people are involved because your actions affect others. When you have a family, so. I don't know. It's great. I love my family. I wouldn't change it for the world or trade it for the world. But on top of that, I have ADHD and my prescription hasn't been filled in 3 months. So I'm also on edge because I haven't had my medication for 3 months.
Right.
So I'm naturally more irritable. Naturally, I tend to be more short. I get frustrated easily. I'm easily distracted. I have arguments with my wife because I make promises that I forget and I forget to keep because that's how my brain works. If I don't use it, I lose it. Or I have a really bad attention span. We'll be mid-conversation and then my mind's thinking of like 1,000 other things at the same time. And then before I know it, I've drifted off into space and I'm back down to earth. And my wife was like, "So what do you think?" And I'm like, "What were you talking about?" And that happens literally every fucking day. And she's frustrated and I'm frustrated that she's frustrated. But I also know she has every right to be frustrated because she just spent all day working, taking care of our child. Now she wants to have a conversation with me and bond over things that went on in her day. And from her perspective, it looks like I just checked out on purpose and I'm not interested in what she has to say. But in my mind, my mind's just racing all the time. I'm thinking about 1,000 things.
Yeah.
That one conversation I had with that one client in which we had a heated argument, and I'm trying to figure out how that could have gone better or what I could have said to overcome, whatever they said. I don't know.
Yeah.
I forgot how my ADHD kicked in. I don't know how we got to this point in this conversation now, but
look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
So this podcast is about ADHD.
This is an ADHD edition podcast. Okay, welcome.
Well,
Happy here.
To bring it full circle. You have your obstacles with being single. I have my obstacles with being a married man and a father to a beautiful, 3-year-old. No matter where you are in life or what you're doing or single or not, like there's always going to be challenges that you're going to have to overcome, and new challenges you'll have to face and find solutions to. And if you think your days are tough as a single man with everything going on in your life, like, now think about being with another person who has their own issues and own problems on a daily basis, and then coming together to form this whole new being who has a bunch of needs and wants coming into the picture. And now you have to like every time you just add a new person to your life, you're just taking out a chunk of your soul and giving it to them. And in the process, you're trying to figure out how to remain a whole person and remain a functional human being. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, like they said, like being single or in a relationship, like it's always tough. You know what I mean? Like you could be like, oh, I'm tired of being single, but then again, there's people out there in relationships having to explain why they took a nap and didn't respond to a text message. So I mean, like, hey, there's challenges with everything. You know what I mean?
Do you ever, on your days off, Trey, do you ever just take a random nap?
Oh, I love naps.
Hey, you want to be in a relationship? Yeah, no naps.
Oh no.
Like obviously, and there's phases. So like when our daughter was born, newborns, they wake up during the night multiple times to be fed, right? So my wife breastfed. So even though I'm not feeding the child myself, it was my duty to wake up, get the baby out of the crib, hand the baby to my wife. I would try to stay awake during the feeding so that I could take the baby back to the crib whenever my wife was done feeding her. But a lot of times I fell back asleep. But then I was waking back up to then take the baby back to the crib or change a diaper in the middle of the night. Or rock the baby back to sleep. So like even though I'm not feeding the baby directly, I had responsibilities. So, the first, I don't even know, like couple months, it's like waking up multiple times during the night, exhausted because you never really get into deep sleep. It's like naps. It's like 2-hour nap, wake up, take care of the baby, back to bed, another 3 hours later, wake up. And eventually as the baby grows older, those gaps get longer, but still it's interrupted sleep. And then, the kid hits, I don't know, 8 to 9 months. The baby's sleeping through the night. But then now the baby's waking up at 7 a.m. So sleeping is no longer a thing. You have to wake up, be with the baby. My wife is tired. We'll switch off. Some days I'll sleep in, some days she'll sleep in. A couple months go by, the baby's now a little bit older, now in a more of a rhythm. But hey, guess what? Sleep regression. Have you heard of sleep regression?
No.
It's like things go great, but then for whatever reason, due to growth, due to brain growth, due to body growth, all these things, the baby stops sleeping until 9 a.m. Now the baby's waking up multiple times a night, crying. You have to get them back to bed. So like even now, like our daughter is 3 years old. And for the last 3 to 4 weeks, she's been waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. crying for an hour straight, wanting mommy and daddy. And we can't do anything because if we go in there, lay down with her, she'll go back to bed. But then she gets used to that, and then that becomes an every night thing. And that just can't be a thing. We can't go lay down on her floor and put her back to bed. We know for the first week we tried going in there, laying down with her, getting her fall back asleep, and then getting back to our room. She would wake up like within 15 to 20 minutes. Have you seen that video of the raccoon that puts cotton candy in the water? So she would wake up and she'd be like, "Mommy, Daddy," and in the dark she'd be like trying to figure out where we were. We weren't there, so she would cry, and then we'd go back in there. So, anyways, that's literally every night. So 3 years later, and we've had some great like ups and downs, but 3 years later, we're dealing with not getting a full night's rest, having our daughter cry for an hour straight, wanting us until she's so exhausted that she finally falls back to sleep.
Jesus
like
Christ.
it's a real being a parent. It's tough, dude. Trust me, there's plenty of great moments. There's plenty of like, wow, this is a beautiful thing. We literally created this human together. She's forming her own thoughts, her own opinions. She's saying the wildest shit that just like you don't expect for her to say that she's picking up, at school. And then there's days
she's saying like, "Dad, you don't got that wrist," or
dude, what does she say lately? She's in a very sassy mood. She's in a I hate dad mood lately.
Oof.
So I'll walk in. So she'll wake up, so Saturday mornings are the mornings I wake up on the weekend to go get her out of bed. And while my wife sleeps in, right? Sundays are my day. Sundays I can sleep in and my wife takes. So, my daughter hates daddy right now for whatever reason, I'd say 60% of the time. So she'll wake up.
F's in the chat.
Yeah. So get this. She'll wake up. If I'm lucky, she'll wake up at like at 8, which is not terrible, but who the fuck wants to wake up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, right? Okay, anyways, she'll wake up at 8. As soon as I walk into the room, she's hoping for mommy. She sees daddy, and she'd be like, "I don't want daddy. I don't love you anymore. No." And she just
shit.
Cry yelling. So upset.
God damn.
Yeah, she's a little savage, dude. And then or I'll come home from a long day of work, right? I'll open and before these last couple of weeks, because this is a recent development, I would come home and she would come running to the door, "Daddy, I missed you, I love you." I'll fucking walk into the house, open the door, walk into the house, and our couch faces the front door.
Yeah.
So I'll walk in and I'll be the first thing she sees. And she'd be like, no, I don't want daddy. No, I don't love you. And all I did was just
holy shit.
All I did was just walk into the house. Imagine a long day at work. I drove an hour and a half to work. I drove an hour and a half home. I left the house at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Got home at 7:30. I've literally been gone for 12 hours between driving and working.
Yeah.
And the first thing I hear coming home is, "No, I don't want daddy. I don't love you anymore. No."
What
bro,
the fuck? Jesus Christ.
She's just going through a phase, dude. And then, maybe 30 minutes later, she's all cuddly and fine. But she's just she's going through something, dude. It's
Jesus Christ. Hearing you go through all that and dealing with that stuff. I look at the entire time I was thinking about my own family. It's like my mother had 5 of us. How the f did they manage that? Jesus,
dude.
Christ. Jesus Christ.
That's a great fucking question. I don't know. Eventually we'll have another kid, and that's gonna be a whole new set of challenges, right? Because by the time we have another kid, our daughter will be older and hopefully more, mentally stable. and then we start the process all over again. And then I want to say we want to have at max, for sure, max 3 kids. So for the next 10 years, we're repeating the cycle 2 more times. For the next 10 years, I'm not getting a full night's of sleep. most days of the week.
Dude, shout out.
So
Shout out to you, man.
So the point I'm trying to get across is
Enjoy being single.
it's not all
I get it. I get it.
rainbows and unicorns
Enjoy
being married and having
single.
kids. No, and I'm saying, and you're 32, so you've been single long enough, I'm sure.
Not 32 yet.
But-
All right, calm down. Not 32 yet. Not yet. Okay. Let's calm down.
What I'm saying is, yes, look for your significant other. Yes, date, but at the same time, trying to put things in perspective.
Yeah.
Enjoy those days where you're alone and you can just sleep. You could just game. You can just wake up whenever you want. You can eat whatever you want. Just enjoy that while you can. Yes, there's sad things about being single, but there's sad things about being married as well. Like not being able to sleep most nights of the week all the way through.
You know, the entire time you're like, you're saying that to me. Have you ever seen Billy Madison?
Yes.
When he's
It's been
like,
a while,
with the fact that like,
Long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it.
Jennifer, why don't you try reading out loud?
but no, I see what you're saying, man. But yeah, man, I mean, like, Jesus Christ. I don't know how I would feel. It's like, I made you, and now you're saying, I don't want you, daddy. Like, fuck. After a hard day, it's like, damn, man.
This little human that you made
Look like, yeah.
that looks half like 50% like you, that is just like shitting on you. It's like
Get shit on, dad.
Love me.
I hate you.
So we went to Chuck E. Cheese tonight.
Charles Entertainment Cheese. Let's go.
Right. Before Chuck E. Cheese, she was shitting over me. At Chuck E. Cheese, she was good. Got home, she was a little grumpy, and then when it's bedtime, she likes to ask for daddy when mommy is the bad guy and putting her to the bed. So then she'll like resort to daddy and be nice to me and butter me up. But yeah.
Sorry, man.
She plays us. She's smart, dude. It's weird how smart she is. But
She's got both y'all's brains, man. She's got both y'all brains, you know what I mean?
Mostly her mom's brains. Her dad's attitude for sure.
As we kind of wrap up here, man, like, what's one thing as your daughter done, you're like, fuck, that's me right there. Has she done to you? Like something you've done that you remember, like you know what I mean? Like something you've always done to your mom and dad. Like what's thing? Has she done something that remind you of that? Like, fuck, that's me right there.
Maybe not something specifically, but there's this mischievous like face she makes, and like she's my exact twin when she makes that face. Like she knows she's done something wrong, but she's not afraid to hide it. So she's just like,
well, still,
and I'm like, yep, that's definitely my face when I've done something I'm not supposed to or said something I'm not supposed to, and yeah, it's just those moments where like, okay, damn, like she's my exact twin in this. It's funny because like depending on the type of face she's making, it's like, oh, that's mommy, or oh, yep, that's daddy, and the mischievous face is me.
She ever hit the living room remote? She's like, where's the remote? And she just turns to you with the face like, you'll never know.
No, do you see this right here?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
The scar?
I don't see the scar, but I kind of.
Hold on. Let me see if I can finesse this a little bit. You still see me?
Yeah.
All right, check it out. Oh no. Let me know if. Oh, here we go. Oh my god. There we go. We're getting there.
Jesus, I can see your entire force. Damn. Yeah, I see it.
All right. So that is my daughter. He got into one of her fun moods probably a month or two back now. And she just straight up fucking Wolverine the fuck out of my face. Yeah, like to her defense, I scar easily. Like I have acne scars from high school and college. Like for some reason, I just scar easily. It's
That's
a
why
bitch.
your wife beats you with the phone book. Yeah.
Exactly. She's learned. She's smart. But like I would say 2 to 3 times a week, my daughter will be like, Daddy, what happened here? And I'm like, who did that? And she'd be like, me.
Damn. Jesus.
She instigates it, dude. Like, oh, like what happened here? And I'm like, or sometimes I'll be like, who did that? And she'd be like, Ellie. I'm like, yeah, you jerk. I'm forever scarred now. It's not even a cool looking scar, like Jason Momoa, where it's like across the eyebrow. It's just like
I got that scar right here. I got that just more right here.
Yeah, I want to take like a fucking blade and just give myself a badass scar. It's a badass scar.
I could keep that scar here, but you can have one. Okay. Fun fact: I got this. I was working. When you work around metal containers, you know what I mean. Sometimes you have a metal flap. Sometimes when you work inside of a metal container, right? Sometimes that flap comes down, hits you in the face, and you just ooze blood. And to make this podcast first, it didn't hurt. I didn't care at all. But to kind of wrap, and then you just had to get plastic stitches, across it. But yeah,
it's a fucking cool scar, dude. I think eyebrow scars are what's in.
It's what's in. You want to go on a date or?
It's grit. Sorry, I don't want kids.
Oh, full circle. This podcast is called I don't want kids. Bow, 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 bow. That's a good episode. There you go. So,
yeah. Good luck editing this. We'll see what it turns out to.
It's gonna be good. Any closing thoughts there, bud, or does it wrap up?
No, I'm excited to get more guests on and keep growing this thing.
Hell yeah. Hey, stick with us. We are booked as far as guest goes. Excited. We are booked.
Yeah. Yes.
But hey, if you want to be on if you want to be on a guest this podcast, reach out. Please reach out. Right?
Where can they reach out to, Trey?
They can reach out to this email here below. They can reach out to our DMs through all our social media platforms. Do not be afraid. We don't bite. You know what I mean? We're stooges. You know what I mean? One single stooge. You got one married stooge here. You know what I mean?
Whose daughter hates him right now.
F's in the chat.
All right. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see y'all next week.
See you next week. As we say here, ladies and gentlemen, night night.
Night night.